Sweden is not highest in terms of figures of family-owned business, compared with some other countries around the world. About 1/3 of the listed companies in Sweden are controlled by one or several families. And if you look at the privately held companies, if you look at the smallest one with less than 20 employees, I think it's about 65% that are defined as family businesses. And if you then go up in size, then the number of family-owned decreases a little bit. About 40-50 years ago, then it was a big discussion in Sweden about private ownership. And for example, IKEA and others went abroad with their ownership and created foundations that are located abroad. But that has changed. So now the political situation is quite good now with the tax system, with no gift and inheritance, on a zero level gift and inheritance taxes and so on. And then we have, I think, a good spirit of entrepreneurship in small and medium-sized companies, growing the businesses, going international, being innovative and so on. We have done one study that we think the results are more general, but we identified what we label family ownership logic. So it was a broad, in-depth interview study, including some of the biggest families and a lot of also smaller, medium-sized and smaller families that are running medium-sized smaller companies. We found 7 dimensions that were significant for all different types of family-related ownership. And the first one was active and visible ownership. This active and visible ownership, I think, is important now because now, compared with 34 years ago, now people are proud running family businesses. It was not like that before. And the active part of ownership, I think, is really important. That owners are involved not only as owners but also very much in strategizing in operational issues, even if they in all cases don't have the top management position. The second one is stability in ownership over time, and that means also stability in power, meaning that you have concentrated power around where the business is going, what are the core values and all that, and that is combined with long-term orientation. And long-term orientation, of course, is very significant for almost all studies of family business around the world. But we found a very strong focus on long-term orientation. And that means also that this focus on innovation that you find in successful Swedish family businesses has a long-term orientation, and that is important when you build up competitiveness both in the domestic market and abroad. Then the fourth dimension is multiple ownership goals, meaning that it's not only profitability. There are social goals. And what you find in Sweden are a lot of family-owned businesses that take responsibility for the local community. And I think that is an important part. Then it's skepticism and limited availability of external capital. As I said, there are some family-owned businesses on the stock market, but mainly they want to stay outside because they are so focused on independence, relation to other owners, in relation to banks and so on. So this independence is related to the freedom to act as an entrepreneur, and that is a very strong value structure, I think, among the successful Swedish family entrepreneurs. And then there is, it's a neutral way of labeling it. It's a flexibility in governance structure. You could say that they're loosey governance structures, but it's also meaning that you have to have, according to the regulation, you have to have boards. But still, in quite successful medium-sized family business in Sweden, they just have a family board. They have not professionalized it. They have no externals and so on. And that is related to this independence and the belief in that they then run the business in the most entrepreneurial way. And the last thing is the strong identification with the firm. that generally has been related to psychological ownership or emotional bonding and things like that. I think there are a number of characteristics or reasons for that success. And one has been identifying a niche in the market. And there has been like an inherent search for niche strategies. So most of these Swedish successful companies, family-owned companies, that has been successful on the international or global market, they have had a niche strategy. Today, I mean, some of them are market leaders like IKEA, and therefore maybe you don't define it as a niche strategy, but if you look back, then it was a niche strategy. And the other part that could be related to niche strategy but doesn't have to, and that H&M is an example on, and also IKEA, by the way, but it's a focus on continuous innovation, not the big radical innovations, but the small innovations. And I think Swedish companies has been very good at like small innovations, and there is a continuous search for improvement in the offer to the customer. So it's a strong customer orientation in that. But also both these successful examples, IKEA and H&M, but also a lot of others, they have also been good on the supply side to find suppliers out in the world that also have helped them to internationalize. But they have learned about new markets through starting to purchase from these markets before they go there with their own products. And that is not that common if you look at the global pattern. So that is another thing. Then I think in Sweden, like in some other European countries like Holland, to internationalize is a natural move for small businesses because the domestic market is so small. Now and then there is a discussion that next generation will not be interested in the family business. I'm not sure that is right. I don't see that as a major threat. I think the family business, the form of organizing businesses through family ownership has a lot of competitive advantages that also could then be create disasters. I mean, of course, family conflicts and all that. But I think there are inherently a number of potential competitive advantages through the family ownership way of running businesses. And therefore, I think that family businesses will increase, and of course they will increase in Africa, they will increase in Asia, I mean in other, and also in the non-democratic countries that become more democratic. Then there are challenges. I mean, for the next generation, there are challenges also where we have two streams in business schools of doing business. One stream is the financial view and the other one is the industrial view. And the family business are more related to industrial view, but increasingly a number of family businesses that also have created healthy families, they go into the financial view, and that is another type of family business. I mean, the family offices and that industry that is growing very fast. But I think that is another thing. It's about accumulating wealth without doing business. And I think there is a definitional issue later on if we should call them family businesses. But if you look at call them the traditional family business, I still think that there is a future for them.